What's going on, everybody? It is Jamie,
And John?
and welcome to the A-To-Z Reseller Podcast. How's it going this week, John?
Yeah, pretty good. It's been one of those weeks where, again, the sales and stuff aren't. I feel like a broken record. I feel like I'm saying this every week, where it's like, grumble, grumble, whatever. But overall, I've made a couple decent sales. Got some traction, sold a couple little bundles on things, and while the dollars aren't there as expected, it hasn't been bad. And actually, I was away for a few days as well, dog sitting and hanging out with some very energetic. They would have made an appearance on the last video.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't watched that yet. So I'm sure the ending of that is just an absolute storm. But apologies again, everybody, if you made it that far and we're like, whoa, God, what's happening here? But no, it was a pretty good week. I, made some extra cash doing that. So it was always nice. And I was telling you before this, I've been taking lots of leisure time as well and playing some PlayStation and relaxing and enjoying myself a bit. So no, it's been a good week. How about yourself?
Yeah, good week. I've been doing my best to flood eBay with new and rejuvenated listings. So I'm still doing the ending and then moving stuff to ebay.com. But I have been getting a good amount of sales. I don't know that, honestly, I don't know that my sales are up. I just think the things that are selling are worth a little bit more money. So it feels better. But overall, I do think sales are pretty good. I think it feels like they've picked up a bit, but I think it has a lot to do with just I've been spending so much time on eBay every single day, listing, manipulating, sending offers, and then I'm even reaping the rewards on other platforms when I'm relisting. So, obviously, well, you're at your job, your 9 to 5, doing your actual work or taking mini breaks to play video games, whatever it is that you do every day.
Right.
I'm literally spending the most amount of time I ever have physically on eBay and these other platforms. So it's starting to reward me. But at the same time, I'm noticing because I'm not listing as many new items as I had been, I'm starting to notice my total number of listings dropping down because I'm selling definitely more than I'm listing, which is kind of the goal too. I've only found a handful of things that I've actually not relisted online that I just was like ready to discard or do something else with. But things have been going well, but I've been putting in a lot of extra effort as well. So
yeah, well, it's paying off. You're feeding the machine, right? Like the algorithm on multiple platforms loves it when you do that delisting, relisting thing, and
yeah,
getting those benefits of newer in the search and different boosts that you get from that. And yeah, like you say, if you notice your overall listings going down and you're selling more than you're listing, yeah, obviously that's not a sustainable model because you'll eventually run out of desirable things to sell, but that's a good problem to have for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Did you also happen to see that after the big thing with Poshmark where they were going to change their fees and mix everything up, that they totally put the brakes on and now they're just kind of going straight back to the way it was?
Yeah, I did notice that, and it's funny because I think we mentioned that in last week's video as well, where it's like I had a couple sales where I didn't notice any difference. Something sells for $30, like $6 in fees, that's 20%. Like it seemed like everything was exactly the same. But I figured that a 5-day drought, no sales on Poshmark, probably had something to do with it. Whether it was customers were just like, F this, we don't want to pay fees. Like, you want to pay your sticker price. And one of the analogies I mentioned when we talked about this before was like, you go into the grocery store or you go into the liquor store or whatever, like that's the sticker price. You're in the grocery store. There might be some taxes on some stuff, but like you see the price on the shelf, that's the price you pay. You shouldn't have to get into checkout and realize, oh, not only is there taxes, there's also a buyer fee and all this extra crap. Like, no, I don't like that at all. So I'm glad that there was a little bit of an uproar about it, even if it did negatively impact me as a seller a little bit. And I hope that Poshmark learned their lesson. If they need to raise their fees a little bit, if they somehow need to make more money, that's one thing. But it seemed like they were only doing it to kind of take a little bit less off the seller, which as a seller, I appreciate that. But I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah, I think taking some off of the seller, and then they were sort of making people pay for like extra protections and stuff like that,
Mm.
which I think is the thing that I found really weird about the whole situation is first of all, I didn't really watch the Posh Fest when they did that, like where they announced all the new stuff, but that happened, and then almost like just a month after that happened is when they decided to change everything. Like, I wonder why they wouldn't have talked about that when they did their like annual event. Like they didn't talk about a
Mm.
restructuring or anything. Just kind of a
Yeah,
blind side. Just seems weird.
it is weird, and honestly, it I've always praised Poshmark for being just a solid, steady, you can kind of count on them sort of platform. But honestly, this felt a little bit like an eBay move. Just mix things up for the sake of mixing things up. Like somebody in a boardroom had an idea, and maybe they had a little bit more pull than everybody else in the room, and they got their vote passed. And somebody's idea came to fruition, and then everybody realized it was a terrible idea. And I don't know. It seemed unnecessary. That's the thing for me. Like I'm always of the mind where it's like, okay, I mean, yeah, you should always be trying to improve things, and in the world of my real job, continuous improvement and blah blah blah. Those are all things, buzzwords that you get in a lot of different office settings and industries and stuff. But like the stuff that's working, you leave that the hell alone. Right?
Yeah.
Like, fix the processes that actually need fixing, and if something's working, just leave it be. Don't touch it.
Yeah. I think that is crazy. I know from the company that I worked for is a huge company. It's like was one of the biggest brands in the world. It was like we were like a small piece of a big umbrella essentially. And yeah, they were always trying to mess stuff up or change things that weren't broken. Instead of actually just going and fixing the stuff that's wrong, they're trying to mess up all the stuff that's good already. Oh, we can manipulate this and make it better. Just the
Yeah.
way sometimes big companies work like that, it's almost like counterproductive.
Yeah. So without giving anything away about my job, my personal life, I will say that our company as well is now part of like a big investor group conglomerate type thing, and so there's been some like high level restructuring and whatnot. But one thing I will say is that they just let us do our thing because we know what we're doing. And so nobody who doesn't understand the industry we're in, or who's never been there for the 60 years this place has been open, no one is coming in and saying like, hey, what if we do this? Like,
Yeah.
they're separate. They're the investor group. At the end of the year, if they're making money, that's all they care about. You guys do what you're doing, unless there's some cause for alarm. But shareholders like to make their shares, of course.
Exactly.
But I
Exactly.
mean, again, if a company is successful and you buy them out, you invest in them, and you expect to make money off of them, and they're performing, then don't go in there and change things up. Same way with reselling platforms. Same thing with well, we touched on video games very briefly earlier. One of my pet peeves is when a video game or a video game series introduces something new that completely just breaks the game or ruins it. Like, maybe you've been playing the NHL series for 10 years and you love it. And then all of a sudden there's one crap year where somebody decided they were going to do something completely different and just screw it up. And you've bought it expecting it's going to be good. And now it's junk. And yeah, it happens way too often.
I felt that way with Call of Duty when they did. I think it was Advanced Warfare where they added the booster pack, where like that you could double jump and like jump on stuff. And it was because Halo or not Halo. I think was it Destiny was so big and that was like a huge
Right.
thing. And they sort of tried to copy that and they broke the formula of what Call of Duty was. And I was like, oh
Exactly.
yeah, I
Call
hate
of
it.
Duty games, you know what you're getting into. A Call of Duty game is a war game. I love those games. I haven't played them in years because it's dangerous for me to get into a Call of Duty. It could consume my life. But yeah, why would you want to just be like, hey, we're gonna do something different and turn this into Destiny or basically, another like Halo type game? I mean, those things exist. Just leave it alone. You wouldn't be on Black Ops 6 if your formula wasn't working.
Yeah.
Don't alienate your customer base.
Just keep reselling me the same thing every year. I'll buy it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I
Yeah.
got a buddy who's yeah, every year he says, this is the last one. I can't keep doing this. And then every year he buys the new one.
I'll buy the new one and play it heavy for 3 months, and then I'll forget about it. That's how
Yeah.
I usually do it. I usually like the little time period there where you get a chance to get good, and then all the kids get it for Christmas, and you can destroy them for about a month. That's fun.
Right. Makes you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Beat up some kids. That's always a good time for Christmas.
Yeah. It's the spirit of the season, man.
Yeah. Yeah. What's so I think your eBay's been a little slow too, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Have
I mean,
you've been feeding the machine though? You're listing every day.
yeah, I mean, it's still like going in and like at least if I don't have anything new to list, I go in and I'm at least trying to do some relisting of old stuff and tweaking of things. And um, I haven't been as consistent as I was earlier in the year, where it was listing 5 new things every single day. So I mean, I know that some of it is on me. I get that, but I still think it is down for sure. eBay is one of those weird things though for me, where it's like it's just so streaky. It can be like really, really slow for like 3-4 days, where I can't even send out offers, which just seems like that shouldn't be the case. And then all of a sudden I open up the app again, you can send out 27 offers. It's like, well, okay, how do you go from not being able to send any offers for 4 days to now I can send out 27? Like, did these just start getting backlogged for me? And now all of a sudden they've been released to me that I can start coordinating and trying to communicate with these potential buyers. So I don't know. It's weird. I've always felt like there's portions of the eBay traffic and how that translates to sales that is broken, or at least like very server dependent. And you might just kind of get SOL and stuck in a bad server for a couple of days or something, I think.
Yeah, it's very possible. I've tried. Much like everybody else. I've tried to figure it out or figure out what works.
Yeah.
It seems to be so random. You could do all the right things and get none of the rewards, and then you could do nothing for a while, and then all of a sudden you get all this stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like you said, a server, right time, right place. Not too sure. I did have a something come up this week where somebody opened a case against me, but it was one of the ones where they do it through a credit card dispute. I don't know if you ever had that before.
Oh yeah, I have. Yep.
Yeah, it's annoying because there isn't the same path where you can talk or go through eBay and use their stuff, because it's outside of eBay. eBay says either accept this and refund it, or choose to fight it. And basically I think they want you to sort of prove it somehow, right?
Oh, okay. Weird.
Which,
Okay, so I've never had that actually. What I've
yeah,
had happen with credit card is where eBay will just notify me and say, hey, someone has filed a claim with their credit card saying they didn't make this purchase or whatever, potential fraudulent activity.
okay,
You don't have anything to worry about. You're under our seller protection. This has nothing to do with you. You've shipped it, it shows delivered, you're done. Don't even worry about it. But we'll just keep you up to date. We'll update your progress. We'll update you on what happens just for your info.
okay.
I've never actually had one where someone's opened up a case where they say, so what were they claiming was the issue? It wasn't.
I'm the issue. I think I maybe talked about this with you. So I sold a set, I think it was a lot of 5 Sony cassette tapes sealed. Okay. I couldn't find them, and I was trying to communicate with this person saying, hey, I can't find these. I don't really want to cancel the order unless you want me to, or I could just ship. I've got all these different brands. I have different ones I could send. So I just sent them a set of Fuji ones instead. And I said to them in a message that I did this. And I'm like, if you don't want them, that's fine. I'll pay return shipping or whatever. I probably would have just refunded them. So to avoid basically having to cancel the order,
which is a defect against your account, because you would have to cancel. You didn't have the item. Right. I got you.
I shipped them something similar and explained the whole thing. And I seen about a week ago now that they had got them, and there was no negative feedback, no positive feedback. And I just assumed, okay, so they're okay with this, right? Apparently not. So instead of contacting me through eBay, they've never responded to one single thing I've sent to them. They just, and I think they're in the US, or at least their address is in the US. Yeah, they just opened a credit card claim. So when I seen that, I'm like, well, I'm pretty much just gonna have to accept that it's wrong. So I said, yeah, okay, I accept this. And then it said, eBay says, we'll do everything in our power to get the item back to you. I'm like, okay, but I don't know what that means or how that works or anything. But
Well,
it wasn't a lot of money either. It was like
I mean,
$14 or something. I don't know.
right. But what's eBay going to do? Send this person a message saying, like, hey, send it back? I mean, they don't respond to messages, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So I get it. It wasn't a lot of money. I would have probably just done the same thing. But it is really annoying that a person just doesn't reply to messages. They're completely unresponsive. You do what you think is a reasonable thing to try to like rectify the situation. Like, yeah, you made a mistake, but you thought, hey, like, we'll try this, hey, just, let me know if that doesn't work. Like, we'll take care of you, right? And then for them to just never respond to messages and to just go that route, like, I feel like eBay should see that and have that as part of their decision. So it's probably an automated thing when the case is open where, you get the message to say you have to, like, you basically have to, go along with this, right? But like, I would think that if you got them to call you or got them to, contact them somehow, you played with their AI chatbot long enough that they could call you and you explain to them, like, hey, this was what I thought was a reasonable solution, and this person has never responded to me. Like, is this the right outcome here? I mean, I don't know. Even if at the end of it, they're like, well, you still did something you weren't technically supposed to, even though you did it with the best of intentions, at least then it's on record. And I don't know, I have a hard time swallowing that one because I just feel like there needs to be some judgment involved there, or something from eBay that's like, hey, you at least tried. Like, why are we not putting any of the onus, even if it's a partial amount that you are responsible for, even if like you can hold back 25% because you tried to do something good and this person never got back to you. That's got to be worth something.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, besides, like, I know I'm in the wrong anyway because I sent them something technically different. But unless this person was like a Sony fanboy and they had to have this Sony thing, all the specs of the cassettes were the same. It was Fuji. It wasn't like it was some lesser brand.
Yeah, it didn't come from the dollar store.
No, yeah, I was just like, okay, well, like I said, I went down to the wire and I'm like, well, I have to either decide to ship something out or not. So I did. And it kind of, like I said, it kind of bit me, but I've never really had too many credit card disputes on there. So I thought that was interesting. I guess not that you want to go through all the issues, but at least when something new comes up, you kind of see how it plays out. I think this is technically still open because I've just agreed, because I think they take the money and put it on hold anyway, but I just agreed that, I was in the wrong here. And, so I know the other thing that happened was I had somebody reach out and ask if they could buy a t-shirt and they were in Switzerland. I'm like, okay, I just asked what the major city was so I could get a price for them. And I'm like, yeah, actually it's pretty cheap through Stallion. It was $12 US is what I was going to charge them.
Okay.
Oh no, sorry, $12 Canadian, sorry. And it was through NL Post. And the guy goes, NL Post, are you in I think that's Netherlands or something?
Yeah.
No, it's actually Canada. That's just one of the options I have. And he's like, oh, that's awesome. This is perfect. So he wound up buying it from me. I have to ship that one out, I think, tomorrow. It's just a t-shirt. But I don't do too many international ones either. So this one's supposed to be, I've used this company before. It's supposed to be about 11 business days. But sometimes they make me nervous because everything still has to fall within eBay's time frame of reasonable too, right?
Right.
So that's sometimes where you're like, ugh, because the options I get are, I think it's ABC or AC. It's ABC. It's another one. It's like an abbreviation like that. Anyway, it's like an international company, or the NL Post, which is, I don't understand why they do global stuff, but must have some sort of deal with Stallion Express.
Yeah, they must. It might be. It might be that they've just selected something kind of neutral and central in the area as like the main collection point, kind of like how Stallion Express is. There is mostly like Ontario and Quebec, right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the central area. Sorry, just I'll get back to what you were saying, but I just saw an email from Stallion Express saying, "Hey, we've just opened up some new locations. We're
Yes.
expanding."
I
And I
see.
was hoping so much for something like Halifax, but no, it's just anyway. Yeah, well, that's kind of cool. Selling something to Switzerland. I've only done, I think, 3 international sales, and I think 1 to the UK, 1 to France, and then actually it might have been 2 to the UK and 1 to France. Yeah, so that's always cool when it comes up.
Was it fairly expensive through eBay labels, or did you use something else?
Oh no, it was expensive for them because I would have done it through eBay labels, which would have been just like Canada Post tracked international.
Yeah,
So I think the
definitely.
guy who bought 2 Tim Hortons, like vintage Tim Hortons thermoses from me,
Oh, right.
paid $50 for the thermoses and then 55 for shipping. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I wish there was a way. So, like when I have international shipping on, I have it set as the buyer has to contact you for a price, right?
Yeah.
That's probably the same way you have yours set, I assume. Or
I
do you?
actually don't even have like international shipping set. Like
Oh
I
no.
only have shipping to Canada and US as options, but obviously people can message me and say, "Hey, I'm in France. Would you ship to me?" And sure, but I don't. I just by default I don't want to have it turned on.
Okay. Well, one of the options you can pick is contact. You can put international shipping or worldwide shipping, and then you put contact buyer
Mm,
for basically for the rate. And I've had a few people ask me like go that route, but I don't know, it might be an option just for you. You can open up to more people. It's just they
mm.
can't just buy it from you, though. I don't think.
That must be something that you can only do from the website itself, because
Probably.
on mobile I definitely don't see that option, and I do everything from the app. So I mean, obviously, it's, now that I know, I can log in and do that from from the website. But it's weird. Like I never think about, hey, I wonder how much stuff I'm missing out on by not using the website. But the reality is, like, I don't I don't want to sit in front of a computer and do stuff. I want to have my phone in hand and do everything. Like it's so
Yeah,
convenient, right?
I believe it's just under business policies or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look after this. That's good info. See, folks, we're all learning something new here.
Well, we can jump into. Do you have an idea of a sale of the week this week? Do you?
I do. Yeah, I have a great sale of the week, actually. I had gotten a lot of Wii U stuff for $70. There was some games, um, like just the tablet only, so not like the actual console itself, but the tablet only, a charger for it, a couple of accessories, controller, pro controller, yeah, 7 games, all of it for $70. And what really caught my eye was the Zelda Wind Waker HD remake for Wii U, which is worth about $75 on its own. So
Nice.
then everything else was gravy, right? So yeah, that sold. So that sold for 75 plus shipping, and I think after fees and stuff, I clear like high 50s or something. So I'm pretty much already, I pretty much already got my money back from that, and now everything else is going to be pure profit. So that was a good sale.
That's pretty
And
awesome.
actually, I would have kept it for myself, but I already own it. So
It was that was the one I think you messaged me right last week that you're excited to pick up this bundle. Was it that? Was
yeah,
that bundle?
yeah, yeah. Well, it was recent, and at first it was going to be just the games, and then Buddy was just like, "Hey, I've got this other stuff too. Do you want it?" I'm like, "I really don't want to. I've got my budget or whatever." And he's like, "No, no, I'll just throw it in." I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah. Why not?
sure. Well, that sweetens the deal I was already going to make with you. Sure."
Nice. Yeah, mine was I still can't figure out. I've even heard the name now, and the name is just weird. I can't pronounce it for whatever reason. Let's see, Jacob Chur Churun, maybe. I
I
don't
have
know.
no idea.
So OHL hockey jersey. This is it here. It's kind of a glare.
Oh, okay.
Churchun. I don't know. I don't know why there's so many Y's and C's in that. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Um, anyway, OHL jersey, picked it up in a lot of jerseys from local antique mall. I think that one only paid 15 bucks for, I think. I never went back to watch the video. So I'm just going off of loose memory. I think I didn't pay any more than like 25 was the most I paid, and the average was 15 bucks. And I know this came from the Goodwill bins because I know the guy, that's pretty much the only place this guy sources from. The only comp I could find of this jersey was a white game used one with like a signature and like a car, like a signed photo or something, and they sold for like 350, and the other one was like 450. So I didn't know what the price is at because it's just a jersey. There wasn't another one out there, so I decided to run it as an auction. I set it
Oh,
at $99 US. Let it run for a week. Day six, somebody sent me an offer of 115 US. Well, I actually had no watchers on this item, and people had looked at it. You could see there was views, but there was nobody who was actively watching or bidding. So with 1 day left, I'm like, well, I think I'm going to take the 115 US because I assumed I'd get about 100 Canadian. 115 US, I think, was about 150 ish.
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that seems like a pretty good deal. Because my other option was wait out the day, see if actually there was interest in the last day. Because usually that's when it would pick up. So it was a bit of a roll the dice. Did I want to just take the money and run? Or, because I probably would have listed it right around that anyway. So I'm like, well,
Yeah.
so I was pretty happy with that. Quick flip. I pretty much waited a week for it to see if anybody would buy it or bid on it. And,
Yeah, no, that's great. I don't do many auctions at all. Do you do lots of auctions, or is it just the occasional thing where like, you know what, I don't know what to do here?
didn't
Let's just
know. I didn't want to list it for $400.
right.
Not like I didn't think it was worth $400. It didn't have you didn't have an autograph. It wasn't game worn, but at the same time, I didn't even know. So I didn't really even know if this guy was like a good player or not. Seems like he's an okay player. I think I threw a highlight up in my video. He was an Ottawa Senator last year. I think maybe he still is.
Okay.
Yeah, but this jersey was like from. Did I put it in the title? I want to say like mid 2000s or something, or maybe like 2014, something like
Okay.
that. But it actually is going to. So it's a OHL Sarnia Sting jersey, and it's actually going to somebody in Sarnia.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
Pretty
good for
cool.
somebody to go. Yeah, probably either wear it to the games or maybe potentially even like a bar owner or something like that who's going to throw it up on the wall.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
That's
have
nice.
good luck with the minor league jerseys. Always sell for good money. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's just a little more rare for like because you can't just find them in every sports store like you could like a Leafs jersey or
Yeah.
a Chicago Blackhawks jersey. You could find one in your local store, right? If you wanted to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. No,
Harder
no.
to find the smaller market teams like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I've noticed in my chain of stores that I go to, I almost never see jerseys anymore,
Really?
which is really troublesome because they're such good margin items. Like normally I'd go in and if I spent 200 bucks, 150 of it might have been on just like bread and butter, $20 or $30 items, and then the other 50 bucks might be 6 to 7 jerseys that I've paid $750 for, somewhere in that range, but they all sell for $40 to $100, and
Yeah.
that, so they kind of help make up the margin versus those like lower items, which is the bulk of the sales. And yeah, I've barely been seeing any jerseys at all. But actually, I think the quality overall is going down at that chain. And I think that they must have a different source now, or maybe they're just sourcing differently from the same people. I don't know, because they buy all their inventory from like the New England area, and it's like old stock or returns or things like that.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's just a lot of cases where you're just seeing the same really cheap, really like crappy department store brand stuff, or like things that you could go buy it new at Walmart for $5, and
Yeah.
they're 1.5 plus tax there if used, and it's like, okay. I don't know. But, you know, I mean, there's still the same, you know, there's still some random gems that we find and whatever. Actually, I found a pair of Nike Kyrie something or other sneakers, but they're like a purple one. They're in a men's 15, a
Oh, no
size
way.
15. And there are recent sold comps. They're like new, but they don't have any insoles in them. But there are recent sold comps for 200 plus for these in bigger sizes like 11, 12, 13. There are no size 15s currently listed. So I think I'm going to go, you know, somewhere around like 220 and just see what happens. So like there's obviously still these random gems that I'm going to find that are going to, you know, make up for the slew of middle-aged women's cardigans that are going to sell for $25. But yeah, I've noticed it's not the same. It's not quite as exciting, you know, walking in and flipping through all the racks nowadays.
So I always see very similar stuff in my particular Goodwill or my thrift stores, but I know my Goodwill has, going back to the jersey thing. So recently I've been just finding like jerseys like in the t-shirt racks for $4 or in the sweater rack for like $7.98 or whatever they charge, about $8.
Yeah.
This last time I went in there, they had 4 NFL jerseys that 2 out of the 4 were definitely not even real. They were fake. You could just tell like the logo was like twisted, and then when you look at the stitching, it was weird too. And they were asking $23. I'm like, oh, are they going to go back to this? Because what happens is like either me or guys like me go in there and they know that we're buying them, and then when they see us buy all this stuff, they tend to jack the price up. And they did that with shoes a while back too. And then I stopped buying shoes from Goodwill, my local Goodwill, until they went back to like the $8 to $6 pricing. Because I think sometimes they get somebody in there from like a big city who's like, oh no, these shoes should be $40. Well,
Right.
my town, nobody's going to pay $40. And I'm probably the only guy who's going to buy them anyway. So if I stop buying them, they probably wind up at the Goodwill bins, right? That's where you,
Right.
that's, so I don't know. The pricing I find at my local stores, it fluctuates like that. Sometimes it goes up so high that you don't even want to buy this stuff, and then they come back to earth, you know, when nobody's buying it.
Right. It's like what was it recently? You know, within this last year, I think it was Wendy's decided to introduce like dynamic pricing. So like a cheeseburger was, you know, whatever the cost at lunchtime, but it costs more at midnight or something because it was more in demand or more valuable at midnight than it is at lunchtime or something. And it's just like, really, you're going to try to put in dynamic pricing at a friggin' fast food place? Like, come on.
If somebody's had their legal marijuana here in Canada,
yes,
and it's midnight, they'll pay the price for the burger.
And that's probably what they were thinking. You know what? The crowd that comes out for a burger at midnight is going to pay another $1.
Yeah, they probably will.
But I still think it's BS to do that.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. But I mean, is it any more crazy than going to like a sporting event or something, and now all of a sudden a can of beer is $15 for some reason? I mean that is sort of more like a little bit of a control issue where you don't want to have cheap alcohol and like have people drunk all over the place. It sort of does, you know, cut down on that, but people, they'll pay it anyway normally.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's probably a lot of things to be said about the kind of overhead and potential financial risks of not having high margins on things. And, you know, you're trying to support a sporting team, maybe with a, you know, payroll in the tens of millions or something. But then again, I don't really want to be like a cop-out or a shill for billionaires. So, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, yeah, but that's also part of the environment, though. Like, is anybody going to Wendy's at midnight and thinking, "Oh, this is a great environment"? You know, like this is an experience for me. I mean, maybe after enough medicinal marijuana, but I mean, you know, it's a different scale.
Yeah, I'd be hitting the Frosties anyway. I'd skip the burger.
Midnight Frosties. Oh yeah. Midnight. I can't even see midnight. If I see midnight, I'm wrecked for the next 2 days.
Oh, I know. I'm about the same anymore. So I've got the Yankees hat on.
Oh yes.
Ironically enough, I'm rooting for the Dodgers. You? I'll explain maybe, but you Dodgers or Yankees in the World Series?
Okay. Um, I'm going to give three kind of answers to this.
Okay.
Number one, I'm rooting for the Dodgers. Number two, I don't care at all who wins.
Okay.
But number three, mostly I just don't like the Yankees only because historically they have stood for you can buy wins.
Yeah.
Even if that's not the case nowadays. So I didn't want to be a shill for billionaires when it came to $15 beers, and I didn't want to be a shill for billionaires when it came to the Yankees. But the reality is I don't actually care. There are good players on both teams, and players like, as a ball player myself, like there are people who deserve to win on both teams, and I'd be happy to see any individual win the World Series that is playing right now.
Yeah. So there are quite a few ex Blue Jays being represented on both teams, which is kind of cool. But my only thought with the Yankees, so I do like the Yankees, but if the Yankees win, you won't hear the end of it for the next 10 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the greatest team in the world ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Just for that sake alone, I'd prefer them to like either be humiliated or upset super late, like game 6, game 7.
Yeah.
The Dodgers, they've got Freddie Freeman, who's a Canadian.
Yep.
Teoscar Hernandez is there. Kiermaier's still there. They got a lot of great players. So I wouldn't mind seeing those guys win.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and of course they've got Ohtani, which and he speaks for himself. But yeah, I mean, it's been since 2009 since the Yankees were in the World Series. So it's been 15 years, and now they're in there, and everybody's already talking again about how this is one of the the Yankees are the greatest team in baseball and always have been. And it's like, well, you haven't even been in the World Series for 15 years. Like, calm down, guys.
Yeah.
Calm down.
I think the Dodgers won.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the Dodgers won one of the shortened COVID seasons, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So that's what they think they have to prove, that they could do it through a full season.
Right. I mean, hey, there's some good ball players on both sides. And we'll see what happens. I'll be watching, that's for sure, even though I don't really care in the end who wins. But I really wanted the Tigers to go all the way. I thought that was such a Cinderella story, Before the trade deadline, they're thinking, all right, we got like a 1% chance of making the playoffs statistically. Yeah. And this is a sell-off season, they start making moves, and then the young guys, man, they just step up. And I love that underdog story for them to even make it to the postseason and get past the first round. I thought that was amazing. And I had to restart my file on MLB 24 the show because my save file got corrupted because I was an idiot and unplugged it without turning it off. But when I restarted, this time my guy got drafted by the Tigers.
Oh, nice.
Currently playing for the Detroit Tigers.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a good game for sure. The MLB series are definitely fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Endless fun.
So do you have big plans here going back into Q4, back into Poshmark? Is there something you think you could do to shake things up if you're still not feeling like it's rewarding you?
Yeah, I mean, I can step up and just be more productive and put more effort into it. And, and I know I can do that. And, get back to listing a certain quantity of new stuff every single day and just really get back on track with that. And we're going to be going out doing a lot more sourcing over the next couple of weeks and stuff. I do have another dog sitting gig coming up, which is going to tie up some of my November. But before that, I want to get really good ahead, get lots of stock so that I can have a planned group of drops for, a couple of weeks while I'm away, so that every day I can already have those photos listed and already have all of that planned out. I might do drafts. I know we've talked about this before. I don't typically do drafts. I usually just like, create 5 listings a day or something like that. But yeah, I'm just going to try to get geared up so that I'm not falling behind during that period of time and making things even worse. So the next 2 weeks will probably be like real just ramp up time and probably triple my efforts.
Yeah. I mean, we're still so early in Q4 that there's still time for it to be still a really good quarter for you, I think anyway.
Oh yeah.
But even if not, the beginning of the year typically starts off really well, I find anyway, because people either got gift cards or money to spend and whatever. I find the sales the first quarter of the year too are just sometimes as good as the last.
Yep. If I looked back over the last couple of years, I think my Q1 has actually been better than my Q4 for 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
I
And
mean, not by much, but just a little bit.
I think part of that potentially could be too because there's a little bit of stigma sometimes about getting like something used as a gift, right?
Right.
Sometimes you have brand new unboxed stuff or whatever. Or video games maybe aren't such a big deal to get a used video game. But if people are spending their own money on their self, which typically was probably what's happening in the first quarter more than the fourth,
Yeah.
you know, your used stuff for sure is going to sell much, much better.
Yeah. No, agreed. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Thanks very much for watching. I think this is somewhere around episode 35. I'm sure that Jamie will correct it in the post edit here. So yeah, while things have been a little bit slow, still gearing up. Like we just talked about, it is still early in Q4. Let us know if you're a reseller, how your sales have been recently, what you're doing in Q4 to ramp up, try to prepare for this holiday season, and we'll see you in the next one.